Well, good morning. This is the Okanogan Forest Channel, and I'm just about to leave the cabin and take a little walk up to the upper pad. But before I left the inside, I wanted to get a good update on my bedroom. And you can see me in the mirror there. I'll wave at you. The other thing that I've done here that's working really well is the ham radio center. And you can see that right there. On the left is the ammo box with a battery. And then there's the radio and the clock next to it. And of course, on the clock, they have the temperatures there too. And it just happens to be 71 degrees here inside the cabin. Things are looking pretty good, frankly. And I'm really pretty happy with it. In fact, I have to laugh a little bit. I've winterized, so my pantry, I took out all the stuff that would freeze and would be, ruined when the cabin freezes, so that when I come up in the snow, there's plenty of things to eat, but it's all freeze-dried or, rehydrated or something like that. And here's the table. Again, I'm living here, so it's kind of rough, but that's the table. And in the window, you can see the solar recharging light that I have that's recharging in the light now, and I use that when it's dark. Over here is the stove, and you can see the utensils and things like that up above, and then the teapot's on the stove, and that's how I get my water hot, and that works great. And again, I have to kind of giggle or laugh. This is the kitchen area. But I was up last night at 1 o'clock in the morning or 1:30, something like that, redoing the kitchen. I wanted to move the stove a little bit and get it away from the frame there, because I have a fantasy about putting a sliding glass door in there. But the other thing that I did here, which I'm really pretty happy with, and you'd have to see the disorganized tool barrel before, but now I've got my tools pretty well organized, and they're all kind of hanging up where you can see them and so on and so forth. Well, let's go ahead and take a quick picture or take a look back at the cabin as a whole. There you go. Boy, it sure makes a huge difference having all that wonderful sunlight come in. It's just such a pleasure. All right, let's turn off the light. We're going to go outside and go for a little walk. And as I always say in these videos, be patient with me, because I am no cameraman. Okay, get the door, which is a little hard to open. We'll open it up and go outside. There in the distance, you can see the outhouse. And here's one of my little buddies. I don't know if you can see. Oh, he's up there on the Jeep right now. These guys, they're really something. You can see on top of the Jeep, there is a can of roasted peanuts. And I've been feeding these guys roasted peanuts. And just a little while ago, I took a picture. You can see the 3 stumps sitting out there by the barbecue. There was a squirrel on each one going to it. Boy, they were enjoying it for sure. Anyway, it's kind of a nice day for a walk, so we're just going to go slowly. And what I really want to do is walk up to the upper pad and just have a look there, so that I have a video of that. So that's what we're going to do. Again, be patient with me. I'm going to put this down just a smidgen so it's a little easier to carry. And we'll go up the driveway. Now let's stop here for just a second. There's the gate, that chain gate anyway. I leave it open most of the time. And there's the orange flag that's just there to tell people there are folks in camp. Let's turn around and look at the camp from up here. There you can see the outhouse. And there's the Jeep. and there's just a little smoke coming out of the chimney. I'm kind of at this point in the day, after having taken a bath and done all that stuff, I'll let the fire go out, and I won't start it again until in the evening when it gets colder. Usually I wait until it's about 60, 58, 57, and then I'll light it. And sometimes it's, when I come back, it's even colder than that. Let's walk up here a little farther. And this is my driveway off the main road. All right, I'm going to pivot around again just so you can get another view of the cabin. There's the flag, and there's the cabin down there with just a little bit of smoke coming out of the chimney. Not much. Now we're going to walk a little ways up the road that goes up to Jake's. Jake is my neighbor, and he's a wonderful guy. He's the one that keeps this road all nice and looking beautiful. And believe me, it does. And if it weren't for Jake, quite honestly, I'd have a hard time getting here in the winter. But when the snow comes, he plows, and he just takes beautiful care of the road all the way up to his place. And we're going to walk up that way a little bit now. But just for reference, there's a look back at the driveway coming off the road into the cabin. And that's what you see when you're going to come up here. Now let's walk up this hill. There you can look up on the hill, and that's above my place. And that goes up to the National Forest to the east of us just a little bit. And it's real nice to see. And there, across the way, are the mountains. And what's really great to see is how they've reforested that entire hillside after having done the logging. Of course, both sides of the road here are my property, and we're going to go up to what I call the upper pad. Let's take one more look at the mountain over there. That's the road continuing on to Jake's. Let's turn around and you get another look. You can just in the bottom left corner, you can see the tarp down in my cabin. That's the tarp covering the trailer. And then looking down the road, you can see the saddle between the two big mountains across from me. Now that's state land. It's public state land over there. My property goes up to that public state land. And when they logged that, of course, over there, it created a whole bunch of new habitat for wildlife, which is good. And of course, the trees will grow, and someday they'll be big like the trees on my property again. And that's kind of the way forestry works. All right, let's go a little farther. I'm coming up here for a reason. Okay, this is the drive that you can see to the upper pad. And I've got a friend, Joseph, who's got a nice RV that I'd like to have him come up and stay here sometime. And of course, I'm always trying to convince acquaintances and friends to come up and dry camp, because this upper pad up here is a fantastic place to dry camp. Now, to take his vehicle up there, there's really two ways. You can make kind of a right angle turn on the right here, or you can go straight up the way we see it. And I think you just have to maybe do just a little bit of work on the ditch here so that the vehicle wouldn't bottom out going up. But then, in the years since I put the road up to the upper pad, or I should say Tony made it for me, it's filled in a little bit. So there's some limbs that would probably need to come down. I have all those tools, and I think probably in under half an hour, you could clip down any of the limbs that might get in the way. So let's go ahead and walk up there and see what we can see from the upper pad. Now, before I go any farther, here's the right angle drive up, just right here. And there's, again, you might have to cut some limbs, but I'm going to pivot around like this so that you can look up the road and see the gate up there. And that's the end of my property, and that's where Jake's property starts. Jake's got a beautiful off-the-grid home up there. So let's go ahead and start walking up towards the upper pad. Now I'm going to stop here for just a minute. The road continues up here, and you can see you'd have to take out some of those dead limbs there. Wouldn't take long. But I want to turn around and take a look back down at the road, because you get a little different view from here. Now you can see on our left, as we're looking now, is the right angle drive up to the upper pad, and on our right, as we're looking now, is that more angular drive up to the upper pad. Most vehicles, I think, if you're careful, could get through them, no problem. Now, if it's a low rider from town, I think you're out of luck. But a normal vehicle that goes in the outdoors occasionally should be fine. All right, let's go a little farther. Actually, from here too, you can see up on that mountain again. And that's really very beautiful up there. And next weekend, it's all going to be white. It's supposed to start snowing next weekend, so probably the next time I come up, that entire mountain will all be white and very beautiful. Okay, we're getting close. But then again, you can look up and see that tree right in the center of the picture, I think, has some limbs that need to come off to get a vehicle up here. You know, it's like so many things. If you just are patient and take a quick look and then open it up, you'll be fine. If you look right here, this road is smooth, no bumps. You know, I guess I should call it a driveway, but it's easy peasy going. And right here, it's kind of hard to see, but when Tony was here making this for me, I asked him to make a place where you could park your vehicle on the side of the road, which is what this is. If you had a big tent camp or something like that and didn't want your car up there. There again, we're looking across at the mountain, and that is really beautiful. Okay, up to the pad. Now, what I had Tony do was come up here with his cat and make a flat spot in the hill so that you could park a trailer, RV, or have a big hunting tent camp up here. And there's plenty of space for that. And this would be a great, actually almost any time of the year, a great dry camp. Really a lovely, lovely dry camp. I'm going to walk over to the edge. Now, you see this Douglas fir here? In fact, all of these are self-starters that have started after Tony put the pad in. And I came and cut some, but I probably need to cut some of the others. Kind of like them along the edge. But this big guy here, right in front of us, makes somebody a nice Christmas tree. But let's go right over to the edge, and you can see that the hill goes right down. There you go. And then you can look up again at the mountain. And if we pivot over here a little bit, there's another look at how they cut. And you can also see where they've already reforested everything, and it's growing back, which is just cool in my book. All right, now let me tell you what we've seen up here. I see a little squirrel dashing off, but for a good long while, and it's there now, I can see it. We have a game camera, and maybe you can see two things here. See that big tree on the left? There's a game camera on it, but here's a game trail that goes right out across the hill and into my neighbor's yard. You can see the game trail, and then where is it? There it is. Right there in the picture, you can see the game camera. And I have to tell you, we have gotten hare up here, coyotes, all kinds of deer, lynx. Now that's cool. You know, there aren't very many places in the lower 48 where you have lynx, and we've had a pair of lynx that I've gotten a number of pictures of. And they're probably looking for the hare for their dinner. And I said coyotes, a bunch of other animals too. Also cows, because at certain times of the year, there are cows that'll come through. But by and large, this would be a great place. I used to keep my canoe up here. right under this tree. But I honestly think this would be a wonderful place for a dry camp. And you know what? There is not a single light from the city anywhere that you can see from here. And I gotta tell you, at night, when there's a full moon, it's just remarkable. It really is. And it's just so cool to be up here. Anyway, I'm gonna do one last thing. It's gonna be a bit of a chore, but I wanna go to the top up there so you can look down on the pad and look over more at the mountains. But we'll go from the side over here because it's not quite as steep. Okay, I'm going to again say be patient with me as I huff and puff up this hill. Hopefully, with any luck, I'm not going to fall. There is also up here, just on and off my property, above the pad here is another big game trail that a lot of animals go through. In fact, you can see, if I don't trip, here's another game trail right here. You see that? And it goes right up through those two trees and up the hill. Lots of wildlife around here, that's for sure. Okay, a little farther and I'll show you why I came up here. Okay. There's a bird's eye view of the pad. Upper pad is what I call it. And that's where it'd be great to camp. But you also have a great view now of the mountain across the way. And it's just about as nice a place as you could ever want to be. And you know, when I was younger, I used to stay in those state camps, and there'd always be somebody next to me with a boombox making a lot of noise, or somebody in the middle of an argument about whether they want to cook hamburgers or hot dogs. But up here, it's completely quiet and peaceful. Well, if you've looked at this whole video, I'm impressed with your patience. Thank you for watching. This is the Okanogan Forest Channel, and it's a pleasure to have you here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing off because my goal was to show this upper pad and what a great place it would be to have a dry camp. And what an enjoyable spot. You take care and good luck with your projects.